push the tempo, 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 push the tempo.
At 10:50 tonight on 4, a chance to reacquaint ourselves with the real Oliver Reed. First, though, they can be demanding, egotistic and selfish. And don't you just love to see celebrities behaving badly? The programme contains very strong language.
There was a queen of Sheba and Scheherazade, no rock and roll legends, big cigars, always girls and champagne in your limousine, hiding all those secrets behind the black glass screen. Who do you think you are? Every life shines as bright as a star. Who do you think you are? Who do you think you are?
You're doing a documentary on stars behaving badly? Yeah, go on, carry on.
Well, celebrity in the modern age is obviously about ego.
What are you doing, man? Just who's this guy?
Is that Richard?
Come here.
No way, dude.
Power.
You're a fucking asshole. You're a fucking asshole.
Ego.
Fame is a fucked up invention of the 21st century, you know what I mean?
Tardiness.
Stars are performers, and performers are exhibitionists.
It's just about me, and all about me.
They can snap.
Leave me alone. You get near me one more time, and I swear to God, I'm gonna fucking kill you. I've had enough.
It can make you really bad.
Piss off.
I find you.
I'll find you first. Don't fuck with me.
The A-list celebrity is like a seriously overindulged, very, very spoiled child.
You're unbelievable.
Ask any star about their ego, and you'll get roughly the same answer.
Do you think you have to have a big ego to be a big star?
No.
Oh, Christ, no. I think the smaller the better, don't you?
I don't think anything of it. I just think that I'm a working journalist like anybody else, really.
Do you think that being famous gives you a big ego?
No, well, not me anyway.
That hasn't given you a big ego. What about me?
It's shrunk it.
I've got one that kind of expands and then shrinks depending on the situation. At the moment it's quite steady, but it can get big, obviously.
Have I ever had a tantrum? No!
That was very rude of you, wasn't it?
How was the movie?
But scratch the shiny surface and celebrities lose their cool. Hugh Grant is a traditional English gentleman with a novel reaction to unwanted photographers.
Come on.
Fix these bumps out of here, will you? Well, get them away.
And Frank Sinatra didn't get to the top by being a nice guy.
It's a private place. I don't like to break your fucking head.
Are celebrities ever horrid or unpleasant?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Occasionally, some of them are real shits. Yeah.
So what characterises the shift from mere mortal to celebrity monster?
Recently we had problems with Sada from Big Brother, a micro-celebrity for about 10 minutes, got chucked out of the house after 2 weeks. And one of my photographers tried to take her photograph at a bar opening, and she demanded money to have her picture taken, £50.
Celebrities make demands. It's the first sign of muscle flexing. Demands start small but quickly grow. Minor British band Dodgy had just one top 10 hit, but went on tour with a detailed daily list of requirements.
4 bottles of red wine, not French because of nuclear testing. 2 litres carbonated mineral water, brackets no more than 80% bubbles. 50 packets of blue Rizzlers, brackets large, so they were obviously in for a good night. 1 dozen local postcards with international stamps. 6 pairs of quality male pants, preferably Marks and Spencer. Selection of local teas. 24 large laundered green towels.
Celebrities have always functioned best away from home. Hotels are the perfect place to take the extravagant demand one step further.
We're in our round bedroom. This is a round bed in the middle of the room. And here is the bath. We call it our bathing machine. By far the most famous incident that we've had with this bath was when we had a request, and we never would disclose who it was. It was a famous couple. They have requested to have this bath filled with champagne. They stayed some time in the room, and then they went out for a walk, lunch, whatever. In the afternoon, a maid has come in and actually thought that the bath was full of dirty water, and she pulled the plug. So you can just imagine their faces when they came back.
Drew, what's the greatest thing about being in Hollywood?
I think anywhere where you get to live your dreams out or do what you love to do is the best place in the world.
Hooray for Hollywood, home to the A-list elite, the most famous faces in the world. Known as special needs stars, these pampered, powerful figureheads are master demand makers, competing for the biggest trailers and the best pay packets.
Demi Moore was the first woman to broach $12.5 million when she did striptease. What the audience doesn't know, that her perk package on top of $12.5 million was $1.5 million.
She started making more and more demands, double and triple Winnebagos.
A masseuse, a trainer, personal assistants that numbered several.
Nannies, babysitters, playgrounds, assistants galore, all kinds of special things for her family.
Those kind of excesses, up to $1.5 million on top of her salary, and you think she worked for 3 months.
She just asked for way too much. Everybody suffered.
When you've got that kind of money, money doesn't mean anything anymore. It's making things materialize out of here, whatever you want.
Probably the strangest demand of all would be Shania Twain, the big American country and western singer. At all her concert venues on a big tour last year insisted that the promoters provide a bale of hay, principally because on her tour, where she has this $1 million trailer which has everything in it, bedroom, shower, cinema room apparently, she also has a special compartment which her horse travels around in.
So just how far can a celebrity go? Step forward Jim Carrey. He's Hollywood's favorite funny guy, but on one subject, he was deadly serious.
He decides he wants a chef for his pet lizard. Everybody sort of goes, oh, Jim, you're so funny. No, I'm not being funny. Jim, you seriously want a... Yes, my lizard doesn't eat what I eat. I mean, come on. I mean, even for Hollywood, this is, but Jim Carrey, I mean, once you rocket up to that $20 million a picture mark, hey, he wants a chef for the lizard. Are you listening to me here?
Jim got his lizard chef.
Now that, my friend, is stardom. That's what the perks of stardom are. A chef for your lizard.
Why are these people demanding? I think you've got to ask yourself, who are these people who are famous in the first place? If you really, really, really want to be famous, you can become famous, but the whole process demands a certain personality, which very often is quite spoilt, which very often can be quite attention-seeking, can be egotistical.
I mean, there's a great quote from, I think it was Peter Hook in New Order. He said, well, of course we behave the way we do. People have been licking our asses for the last 20 years. We've never had to do anything we don't want to do.
Are people always nice to you because you're famous?
Most of the time.
Fame's a wonderful thing. I wish it on everybody.
Do you exploit it?
Never.
The one thing that will puncture any pomposity and crack any image is when somebody, normally a mate, takes the piss out of you. Somebody winds you up. Somebody reminds you you're only human. Now, if that happens to celebrities too often, then the whole thing crumbles to the dust that it is. So the one big thing you lose in 90% of the cases, from my experience, when you become a huge celebrity, is the sense of humour.
I found this pattern in an old knitting book in an Oxfam shop.
It's the next telltale sign in a celebrity's descent, the sense of humour bypass.
And I'd like you, if you will, to have a bit of a peep at the pattern book I got it out of. Look at this.
Roger Moore didn't crack a smile when reminded of his modelling roots.
Those old knitting patterns that you used to model for.
We all have to start somewhere, darling.
Darling, I'm not knocking it. I think it's beautiful.
Vivienne Westwood got huffy when the audience laughed at her fashions.
Do you really expect to sell those?
Of course, yes.
I mean,
If they don't stop laughing, I shall tell the next person not to come on.
Oh, dear. You're not to laugh.
You're doing all the talking.
Funny man Chevy Chase thought he was the star.
About a good talk show host is that they allow the other person to get in a word edgewise.
That's one theory, anyway, Chevy.
So, you're rich, powerful, and humorless. Is it surprising that now a hint of vanity creeps in?
I think Barbra Streisand has got to be the most vain woman that ever lived. I mean, every movie that she directs with herself in it, all you see are her fingernails and her legs, constantly. And I remember she was doing one movie where there was a close-up of her lying down, and it was a long, expensive take. And after she saw the rushes, she insisted on doing it all over again because there was a crease in her neck from the way that she thought it looked like a wrinkle.
Michael Flatley, the dancer, he's another one who's quite fond of his own appearance. He had a huge rug made for his dressing room with his face on it.
I worked in Las Vegas for 8 years, and I worked for Siegfried and Roy for 6 of those years.
Siegfried and Roy are two illusionists with delusions of grandeur. There was nothing Roy wouldn't do in the name of vanity.
The craziest incident, which actually finished our relationship, was that he wanted me to gold leaf his hair. He was insistent upon it. He felt that he should be covered in gold.
Stars demand and usually get constant praise.
We interviewed Sylvester Stallone for The Word. The film company flew us to Italy. They put us up in a nice hotel. We sat there, but we had to keep a straight face while Sylvester Stallone showed us his dreadful, dreadful paintings. And you can't say to him what you're thinking, who trained you, Stevie fucking Wonder?
I paint contemporary, very hard-edged, bold, semi-figurative paintings. In other words, it's kind of like if it were Paul Klee, or if you looked at someone like Francis Bacon, but certainly not in the same league.
So, like all the PR people, you connive with that bullshit.
Sylvester Stallone has impeccable taste in art. He commissioned this painting to hang at home, The Madonna and Child, with wife Jennifer taking over the lead role. Les Dennis and Amanda Holden have this tasteful mural in their bathroom. And Posh and Bex opt for a sexy snog, gloriously enlarged, on their landing.
Yo, I don't know. Turn off the lights and I'll glow.
80s rapper Vanilla Ice was a legend in his own lunchbox.
I had the misfortune to be stuck in a private jet with Vanilla Ice to Madrid. And we started doing the interview, and he said, you want to ask me about how good I am in bed? I said, well, I was thinking about talking about your record, but it's the Sun, yeah, if you want to go ahead. I was on the Sun at the time, that's fine. He said, let me tell you, man. He said, the Iceman, he said, on a scale of 1 to 10, 11. He said, no woman ever leaves the Iceman's bed unhappy. I said, well, we're glad we clarified that. That was how the interview started.
Vanilla Ice, sex god, now sells bicycles on Miami Beach.
Yo, man, let's get out of here.
There's always a rule, I think, with kiss and tell stories that, you know, the celebrity doesn't mind as long as the person in question gives them good marks. I was having a conversation with Robbie Williams recently, and he was saying, I don't care, as long as she says I did it 5 times a night, I don't mind, as long as she gave me 10 out of 10 in bed.
Jamie Theakston had steam coming from his ears because somebody dared to suggest that he was Piccolo. And you can't have that. Even if you're a celeb like Jamie, you've got to be...
The only destructive thing they could ever have is, you know, there were problems and it wasn't the best night of my life. That's terrible for these stars. They can't bear that.
Give it up for the lovely Mariah Carey.
Beautiful, relaxed, effortless, but every angle has been checked, every response carefully rehearsed. Meet Mariah Carey.
I think Mariah's big problem is that she was born into a lower middle class family. She has very little education. So she has this delusions of grandeur, and now that she's successful, I guess her vision of what success is sort of princess-like or very unrealistic.
The fairy tale began 12 years ago when a beautiful, talented, ruthlessly ambitious Mariah met Tommy Mottola, head of Columbia Records, at a drinks party. She impressed him, married him, and enjoyed unprecedented industry backing. Her first 5 singles went to #1, and suddenly this simple girl was a star.
Her dressing room must be done in black carpet. There must be sort of yellow linens. She must have a sushi bar. Okay. She must have a bar big enough to be staffed by 2 bartenders. And she must also have, little trees, about a dozen small trees with twinkling lights in them.
And I'm absolutely delighted to be joined by one of the most beautiful women in the world. Mariah Carey is right here on the sofa, and it's lovely to see you.
You're very beautiful.
Oh, away you go, away.
Like any self-respecting star, Mariah knows it's important to give something back to the community.
Very early for a very, very good cause, though, isn't it? The Rainbow Trust.
The Rainbow Trust. I said I want to do something, where I can help benefit people. And it just so happened I heard about the Rainbow Trust, and my album is called Rainbow. And the whole time with this album, Rainbow, I'm trying to do something charitable, because we're going into the millennium. Rainbow is a symbol of hope.
Lorraine Kelly tells that lovely story of when Mariah Carey was at TBAM and she was chewing gum, and she'd finished chewing the gum and she took it out of her mouth and held it up like that, and a gopher sort of came and took it and put it in the bin.
Is this okay, you guys? You guys are watching. Do we have any problems here?
For this appearance on Ian Wright's chat show, she needed a catering truck, her own chinaware, 4 large bags of ice, her own lighting director, and new towels, because the studio towels weren't white enough. Nothing is too good for Mariah.
The World Music Awards a couple of years ago, she was completely upstaged. I think it was Michael Jackson upstaged her. With the entrance, she'd already gone in, and then this bigger star arrived and a bigger entrance.
Mariah came straight back with a bigger entrance of her own, insisting it was reshot for TV.
And the interesting thing about her is she's one of the biggest stars in the world. Doesn't need to do it. But ego just drives her, drives her.
And finally, Mariah needs puppies and kittens to play with before concerts, because cute Mariah must be surrounded by cuteness.
No video camera. No video camera.
Coming up, bad-tempered bodyguards.
Do not use that. I will not let you do that.
Why everyone wants to be in Leonardo's posse.
However humiliating it is to be a kind of minor member of DiCaprio's entourage, this is the kind of thing that happened, and I was just consumed with envy.
And the world's greatest prima donna.
Elton, could you just ask me why you left Portugal? Why you didn't play in Portugal? Why you disappointed all those people?
Walker's Books for Schools promotion is back. So, make sure you hang on to your bags.
Snowed under with dandruff? Fructus anti-dandruff shampoo with active fruit concentrate. Garnier Fructus. It's proven. Dandruff disappears, not a trace of a flake, from just 3 washes. Garnier Fructus, for hair that shines with all its strength. Formulated and controlled by Laboratoire Garnier.
He lost everything, but his love gave him the will to survive. Tom Hanks, Castaway.
Excuse me. I'm looking for some help with my pension options. I understand I can find it here.
Looking for an impartial guide to your pension options? Visit our website.
Sorry, mate. You got the wrong kind of web.
At the Boots Opticians frame sale, even some designer frames are as little as half what you'd normally splash out.
Hurry to the MFI sale with up to 50% off. Spend £500 and we'll pay the VAT on sale prices, but only till 8 p.m. Wednesday the 31st.
What would happen if you ate a Cadbury's Crunchy and got that Friday feeling while already quite excited? It happened to Ron, and now he'll support anything.
Keep it short, keep it short. Oh! Hold it, head up, keep your posture. Fish on! Come on, you anglers.
This actually happened.
For the latest showbiz stories, TV listings and local What's On guide, log on right now to icshowbiz.com.
Discover the unique flavour of Extra Winter Fresh, an icy blast of mintiness that leaves your breath totally winter fresh.
I'm telling you, one more fucking light and I'm gonna kick somebody's ass.
Hey. Turn it off! Turn it off!
I won't threaten you. I'll kick your fat fucking ass.
Thank you very much. Right here. No touching. Guys, come on. Hey, pardon me. Let's get it on. We're doing our job security-wise, okay?
You can't touch me
I can do whatever I want. I'm not touching you.
You're touching me!
When you're a huge star, there's always the challenge of how to make yourself bigger. It's a problem that many celebrities have had to grapple with.
Guys, just keep walking. Folks, keep on moving back, please.
And the solution for some has been costly but effective. Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce my entourage.
Oh, where are my people?
They are covered with hangers-on sycophants. They're called agents, business managers, or whatever. But they protect what is nothing more than a piece of mobile merchandise.
Madonna set the pace in the 80s when a team of 5 seemed like wild excess. Her morning started with a mass jog made up of bodyguards, management, and Her Majesty's press.
She was jogging through Hyde Park, and she had a big American bodyguard with her. And he hit me. I mean, he really hit me. And I said something. I said the wrong thing. He pushed me, and I said, whose country is this, mate? Which was a big mistake, because he then showed me that it didn't matter whose country it was. I was nothing, and I was on the floor. And she actually stopped and sort of came back and went, well, you did ask for it, didn't you?
Mike Tyson took the entourage one step further.
Now, I've interviewed Mike Tyson a couple of times. For a long while, he was the hardest man in the world. No one could ever go at him. So why, when I met him, did I have to meet about 30 members of Team Tyson? What do they do?
Even a small team can be reassuringly expensive. When Cher opened the Harrods sale in 1999, she asked if she might bring her hairdresser.
What did I have for breakfast? I didn't have breakfast.
Just to give you an idea of what her hairdresser, who got 2 Concorde tickets, managed to reap in for this one-day event. The bill was submitted at $100,000 for his services.
Cher's hairdresser for one day, or this cottage in Cambridgeshire for life?
No, you gotta be optimistic and positive and erase anything that can be shady.
Good man, Ricky. Enjoy yourself. Thanks for
Ricky Martin put in a strong showing when he brought a team of 51 to London, including a chiropodist and a carpenter. But when it comes to sheer entourage excess, no one beats the king of hype. Meet Puff Daddy, a streetwise, badass rapper who's made millions as a performer, producer, and record industry mogul.
Puff Daddy is such a whiz. He doesn't need all these people to look after him. I mean, you know, he's a big guy. I mean, I've been to the loo at sort of the Beverly Hills Hotel, and, you know, I thought to myself, can't he hold it on his own? I'm not saying that these bodyguards were there to help him urinate, but you'd think they might be. What was I going to do? Kick the door down and join him?
Puff Daddy has over 30 bodyguards, producers, and engineers. He also retains a videographer, a personal photographer, and a writer to pen his ongoing life story.
The big question is, Puff, when the hits dry up, when the money runs out, are they going to still be your blood? I don't think so.
Friends fiercely protect their stars. In Hollywood, they're known as bodyguards.
What happened to your leg, Leo?
Yo,
you okay?
Bro.
What happened?
Out of here, you know.
Hey, I want you guys off of my property now. Now!
I'd like you to leave.
Off my property.
And then there are hangers-on, weak-willed acolytes drawn to the flame of fame.
A lot of times people might bring their talent to it, but a lot of times people just want to be in the light. So being a famous person, you have to deal with all of these people that want to be in your light.
Well, they're parasites. They live off the stars. They get into clubs for free with them. They suck up to them because they get free drinks, because the girls are attracted. They might give some leftover girls. That's what they're really there for, the leftover girls, the leftover drugs, the leftovers from the star's aura.
But for buddies of clean-living Leonardo, it's just girls.
I remember once being in a restaurant in New York, in this back room where Leo DiCaprio and his entourage were having dinner. And there was this kind of one kind of guy right at the end, kind of, you know, almost shouting distance away from Leo. And he was kind of this sort of, had green hair and this big chain around his neck and a kind of safety pin through his nose. And he looked like this kind of German techno-punk or something, you know, not at all a kind of glamorous sort of person you'd expect to be hanging out with this A-list heartthrob movie star. But after a while, these kind of gorgeous, pouting teenage models joined Leo and his crew, the Pussy Posses, I think they call themselves. And, you know, within seconds, this kind of nondescript, green-haired fool had paired off with this gorgeous kind of 17-year-old cover girl and slipped off to the loo with her and stayed in the loo for about, you know, 45 minutes. And you heard this kind of grunting and shaking. It was like a scene out of a kind of porno film or something. Almost comic, but kind of it was so conspicuous that they were having sex in this bathroom. And he came out later and the girl took a little bow and the guy had this huge grin on his face. And I was like, my God, you know, no wonder people want to hang out in Leo's posse, however humiliating it is to be a kind of minor member of DiCaprio's entourage. You know, this is the kind of thing that happened. I mean, I was just consumed with envy.
Members of Eddie Murphy's entourage were equally successful with women.
And their trick was they all used to look like Eddie Murphy. So it was like 40 Eddie Murphys going out of a town. And they'd hit someone like Stringfellows. And the next day, I was on the News of the World, I listened to the News of the World at the time, and all the phones would light up. All these women, all claiming to have slept with Eddie Murphy. And I thought, well, I mean, I know of his work in the past, but I really cannot believe that 36 women last night slept with Eddie Murphy. And of course the truth was the entourage all just pretended to be him.
But wait, and go on waiting. The next celebrity failing is far more widespread and undoubtedly more irritating. Celebrities are always, always late.
They love to keep people waiting. It means they're worth waiting for. It means they can make this big dramatic entrance and everyone notices them.
First of all, let me go through the whole thing. Clive, A, get on the telephone.
Ruby Wax's most famous no-show was Liza Minnelli. For producer Clive Tullow, the shoot looked set to become an expensive disaster.
I just want to say that, wait a minute, hold on.
By the time we got to the scene in the bedroom, we had been in Nashville waiting 48 hours for Liza Minnelli to feel well enough to do her interview. She kept promising, so we kept on waiting, we kept on delaying the flights, and the costs kept escalating.
Oh, well, okay, Liza isn't feeling good. Could we stay another day? And Liza's devastated. They're always devastated.
Ruby said, well, you've got to ring one more time, and you've got to persuade Liza Minnelli that she has to do it, or, if not, you've got to tell them how angry you are and how much this has cost us.
Anxious not to offend Liza or her agent, but keen to show backbone, Clive got on the phone.
What's she saying?
Not available to take a call.
Liza's not available to take a call. Well, there you have it. That's celebrity. To drag a BBC crew over from England, let them stay in Nashville.
This is Clive Tullow. Can you leave a message, please?
For Liza with a K.
With a Z. We wondered if there was any chance in reorganising this interview, or
if
maybe
she could
you'd
just
like
grunt.
to spend the rest of the day in bed.
Clive, I've never seen you so angry.
A couple of months later, when we got to the end of the series, I said to Ruby, you did know that I phoned my own room and not Liza Minnelli's room. And she said, yeah, of course I knew. Nobody would be stupid enough to piss off Liza Minnelli.
When Fleetwood Mac were actually touring, and it was a Wembley Arena gig, and they promised me an interview before the concert, and that didn't happen. I just kept getting flunkies sent down to me saying Mick can't do the interview now, and then Mick will do it after he comes off stage. And then he came down eventually about 2 hours late. The party was nearly over. I was still sat there, and he sat opposite me and just looked at me like this. And then every question I asked him, he just drummed his hands on the table and just looked at me and just wouldn't say a thing. And I said, are you going to do this interview or not? And he was going... So I just went. First person I've ever walked out on, and every time I hear his name now,
Hollywood heavyweight Bette Midler had a diary packed with important appointments.
She's having a meeting with her aromatherapist, or a vitamologist, or her shiatsu masseur, or her dog needs walking, or her eyebrows are being lasered. And we waited 48 hours, no word of exaggeration, in the same fucking hotel room, waiting for her to get her ass into the room to do the interview, to publicise her film. We were doing her a favour, but we were trapped in that world of celebrity as well and worship and nobody. So when she turned up, we're all charming. We've lit for her. We sit her down and she says, coming in looking like Jabba the Hutt, enormous, "You can't like me like that, I'm not happy. You make me look fat." And we're all thinking, as one man and woman, you are fat, you hideous old bag. But no, in her mind, and that's what celebrity does to these people, in her mind, she wasn't fat. In her mind, she was like Michelle Pfeiffer.
What I've heard you say sounds absolute lunacy to me. And I still think you're soppy as a box of frogs. David, thanks very much indeed.
The manner in which a celebrity leaves an interview is often revealing.
If you had a brain cell, it would die of loneliness. I've tried to read quite a lot of it. Let me put it.
I think that I've sort of had quite enough of this interview, as a matter of fact, and this is not why I came. Okay, to be abused, on this subject.
I'm asking you about your views.
The interview is over. All right.
Which camera's on?
Can you carry on with that?
Yeah,
look after that just a moment.
All right.
Wayne, look, I've got. Hang on.
80s goth rocker Wayne Hussey wasn't so easy to get rid of.
I want to show you. I want to show you. Come here,
Right,
come here, Wayne.
you are going to...
No, Wayne, come over here. Over here, Wayne.
While we're taking care of
over
that,
here.
what happens over here is you get a very different
One moment,
picture.
just pop him outside the door here for a minute.
I'm going to call up another year for Wayne
right.
here.
Now, wait, just stay over here. Roll VT.
Portugal, August the 10th, 1999. In the early evening, Elton John arrived at Portugal's premier venue, the Casino Estoril, to perform for a VIP audience.
He didn't want to go to our hotel, our five-star hotel, where we had prepared for him penthouse suite. He preferred to come directly to the dressing room.
The dressing rooms were decorated with flowers, teddy bears, and 2 large sofas. Elton made only one request for a male masseur.
This masseur was found. He arrived in the casino. He stayed for some time in his dressing room.
While Elton had his ego massaged downstairs, upstairs the sound checks were completed and guests started arriving in the lavish concert hall. The event had been sold out for months.
I was sitting over there in the best position, in the best table, and I was sitting with the Minister of the European Community.
The £150 tickets had been snapped up by the cream of Portuguese high society, and a Portuguese news crew was on hand to film the extravaganza. Excitement was growing. But below stairs, things were starting to go wrong. The massage was over. Elton had received a phone call from England and his equilibrium was disturbed. He announced he needed to take some air, told concert organisers he'd be back in 15 minutes, and disappeared in the chauffeur-driven limo.
And we waited for 1 hour, and I saw Mr. Julius Caesar, on the portable, speaking, and I asked Julie what happened. I don't know, I think Elton John went away.
It never crossed my mind that someone that says that goes for 15 minutes goes forever.
But Elton had gone forever. Unbeknownst to management and guests, he'd raced straight to the airport and taken his private jet home.
He put me in the difficult position of going to the stage and alone to face the public and said that for unexpected and for me ununderstandable reasons, Sir Elton John have left, disappeared, and as far as we know, was on the way to the airport to take his private jet.
Elton John pediu perdão.
Elton John
Portugal was outraged.
Tudo preparado para o concerto esta noite de Elton John. Daqui saímos com muito britânico, no comments.
What really happened was a shame, a shame especially for England, because Elton John is using the title, is Sir Elton John. So a sir is supposed to behave as a gentleman, and didn't,
The guests had their money refunded, and Elton John has offered to reschedule, but no formal explanation has ever been offered.
Elton, can you just ask me why you left Portugal? Why you didn't play in Portugal? Why you disappointed all those people? Get around the other side, baby. David, any reason why you left them in Portugal? Wasn't very fair on them, was it?
Coming up, Shameless exhibitionists.
Men, bad behaviour, women, raunchy outfits. It does tend to work.
Barrymore.
Don't need this, you really don't.
And awards ceremonies.
He said the C word. Who's that?
Get off stage!
How easy is it to switch to PowerGen for your gas, electricity or telephone? You can practically do it in your sleep. PowerGen. Call free anytime and we'll do all the rest for you.
Go, 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 go.
Book now for our lowest fares at gofly.com.
Some football crowds don't see the game.
They just see the colour of your skin.
It doesn't have to be that way.
And now there's a movie that proves it.
We will be perfect.
It's not the problem.
What is the problem?
We don't need any of your people on defense.
I don't care if you like each other or not, but you will respect each other. You don't let anything, nothing, come between us. Let's rule like titans.
27 women never made a man out of me. Everyone that tried it never really could succeed. 27 women never made a man out of me. I know that you can do it. I hope that you can set me free.
Are you spending too much on your gas, electricity and telephone? Find out now. Call 0500 24 0500.
Good news for vampires. All Seat Ibizas have air conditioning instead of a sunroof.
Remember Timmy Mallet on Whackaday, singing along to the hits of the day? Remember the poll tax, remember the stress, remember when finally East met West, remember when Sonia was top of the pops, or when Gordon the golfer was still on the box, Eddie the Eagle flying through the air, and remember the shell suit your dad used to wear. Remember 1989, remember the time when a McDonald's quarter pounder with cheese was $1.39. $1.39, a price from the past, back at McDonald's while stocks last.
Alan? How could you leave? We had some good times, didn't we?
We've been through this. You're not my bank manager anymore.
Oh, yes. The Abbey National Bank account. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. I've kept some of your old bank statements.
Brian, please.
I'll write to you. I've moved on, free of charge.
Abbey National, because life's complicated enough.
Attention-seeking is a CV prerequisite for any self-respecting celebrity.
I do, but I do not inhale.
Tonight, it's the annual TV Awards at the Royal Albert Hall, and Britain's top performers have turned out in full sparkle. It's one big ego fest, a gift for the celebrity-hungry press and a joy for the headline-seeking stars.
Well, award ceremonies are always fun because you always expect the unexpected. Particular memory is the Brit Awards '99. We'd come to the award for Best Soundtrack, and I cue on Ronnie Wood and Thora Birch from American Beauty. And Ronnie had wanted to go on with a glass. He was drinking at the time. I think he'd had a few before he came on. And I said, right, fine, you can go on with the glass, and thinking nothing of it.
Awaiting his chance to steal the show was little-known DJ Brandon Block.
And all of a sudden, myself and Mark and Dane from Another Level were we were just having a chat and talking about stuff, and they said, "Do you want an award?" And I went, "I don't remember hearing that." And they said, "No, I've just heard, I'm sure I've heard your name. You should have been listening. He was out the back there or something." I said, "Have I?" So I just walked straight up there.
And I see somebody standing on the stage looking completely gormless, and I'd had no idea who he was. But I thought for a second there, something's not right.
I didn't even know who was presenting the award. I didn't know what the award was for. I didn't know what I was doing there. I just stood there. And if you watch it again, you'll see that that was the case.
The winner is Notting Hill.
Nobody really knew who this person was, and he's standing there on the stage, and Davina McCall, who was hosting, turns to him and says, "Who are you?" And completely seizing the moment, he went straight into the podium and shouted his name.
What's your name, mate? Here, you can have it. Well,
Brandon Block!
Bye, mate. Bye.
We ask Brandon to kindly step off the stage, and he starts to walk away. But then Ronnie, who was a bit half-cut at this point, turns into the microphone and calls Brandon, I think, rather a rude name.
Then Ronnie said, as he was obviously addressing the audience, he said the C word. Who's that? Get off stage here!
So Ronnie turned around and threw his glass full of drink at Brandon. Brandon, in return, also had, I think, a beer bottle in his hand, or a drink, turned around and threw it back at Ronnie. So there was this kerfuffle going on, all this drink flying around. I got completely drenched.
Thank you very much, you old bastard!
So we literally get hold of Brandon and we just drag him off the stage.
So that corridor, all of a sudden, filled up with people, all coming down from the sections like this as I was walking along, going, Block, oh, what have you done? You're a nutter. I was meant to be DJing at the after party, which was completely declared null and void. They actually ripped the check up in front of us and went, "Thank you very much," up you go, and slung us out.
The winner is Notting Hill.
I thought he was somebody important. He is now.
Award ceremonies do tend to become a showcase for bad behaviour or, prima donna behaviour, or... Yeah, I think it's to do with one-upmanship. Michael Barrymore, you can't go to an award ceremony without Michael Barrymore standing on his head or sticking an award up his bum or jumping off the stage or, turning somebody upside down and showing their knickers.
The Lord looks at me sometimes and he goes, "Barrymore, today you're going to get in trouble. And you're going to pick somebody up and maybe there might be a shot the next day in the paper that is revealing."
TV journalist Mary Nightingale appeared to be Nicholas. The picture made front-page news and Barrymore made a fulsome apology.
How many times have we seen him pissed, demolishing an altar cue, smashing microphone stands, having no end to the joke, making everyone feel embarrassed and uncomfortable for him, but in his universe, because he's such a big star, that's always funny.
This altar cue machine, is it? Jonathan, it's the 5th series of the Comedy Awards. I've been very fortunate. I've won quite a few, and I know you're going for it tonight. Yeah, I'm going. Everyone has come on. You got a little bit in, a little bit in. You don't need this. You really don't. Right. What was another one?
Your character is businesslike, humourless, cranky, aggressive, even obnoxious. Is that you in real life?
Thank you so much. It's so big, so heavy and lovely.
I just had to.
The 1991 Smash Hits Poll Winners Party opened with the extraordinary spectacle of Philip Schofield abseiling across the stage on a broomstick.
Welcome. Now, if you've got, and this was said by the next group themselves, bad teeth...
Carter, the unstoppable sex machine, were at the height of their fame and had been invited on to play.
You too can be a pop star. Don't believe me? But if you look over here, and we're glad to have them, it's Carter.
I don't actually remember that much of doing the song itself. I was pretty drunk at the time because we'd been hanging around since about 7 o'clock in the morning waiting.
David, I says goodbye.
It was a bit of a cliche. I just kind of knocked everything over and threw my guitar up in the air and just because I was a bit drunk and I was also really disappointed in the day and kind of disappointed in where my life had ended up.
Blimey, that was original. after the watershed from Jim Bob and the Fruit Bat, pushing back the frontiers of music, otherwise known as Carter, and I think they're still smashing that out the back somewhere. Now, not only...
Before that day, he didn't really annoy me that much, but that day, he was really annoying right from the start, right from rehearsals, right at the beginning of the day. He was like... He was acting like he was the most important person there, and he was being really arsey.
Now, not only...
After a scuffle on stage, the cameras diplomatically cut away to crowd shots.
I didn't realise how unpopular Philip Schofield was until that day. People still come up to me that I don't know and shake my hand and say, "Thanks for that, mate, that was great."
The incident made front-page news and guaranteed a sellout tour. Further proof that to get ahead, you've got to get in the papers. It's nearly midnight. It's cold, wet, and the C-list celebrity is just getting busy. Dependent for survival on constant media coverage, the would-be stars will do anything to be photographed. And tonight at the Rock in London, it's the premiere models party. So here they are, partygoers in desperate pursuit of column inches.
Don't believe the hype.
Listen, watch this space. Metro Cinema, 18th of October. Brit Grid.
And you're in it, yeah?
There are some celebrities who will go to the opening of an envelope, and it's all part of seeing and being seen.
Do you hope one day to be a big, huge star?
I'm hoping this might be it.
I'd say if I were a star just starting out, first of all, I'd pay a lot of attention to what I wore. I would always be wearing something that was photographable.
I just want to be a good actress, that's all.
Men, bad behaviour, women, raunchy outfits, it does tend to work.
It started back in 1994 when ambitious wannabe Elizabeth Hurley borrowed what's become known as that dress. Nobody since Liz has managed it so successfully, but boy, have they tried.
Girls, can you stop here, please?
I'm the drama queen, if that's your thing, baby.
Fellas, step back off the dance.
Some of our guests kind of thought, we've got to compete with this show. Instead of going with it, we've got to try and make a name, we've got to try and use it.
One famous incident on the Word involved L7, a grunge band determined to make an impression.
One of them just dropped her pants, wearing no drawers, and let the old cat out. Now, you know what cameramen are like, they're kind of sick and twisted individuals, so they're all going to follow the money, or in this case, the beaver. So I've got like 6 cameras going on the band, 5 of them are at this woman's snatch, and the other one is trying to get there as well, so it's the only place you can go. Now, we got a bit of flack afterwards for that, but that was the only shot. And also, if the cameramen want to see it, the people at home want to see it.
It's much worse not to be in the papers. I think any celebrity knows that.
Every man's dream woman, do you think, does that go to your head a little bit? Does it make you think?
No, because I know I'm not. I know I started getting ready last night, that my boobs have been taped and I'm wearing support knickers, and I've got my fake tan on, so I know that I am no dream, I'm sorry.
When the paparazzi take that picture, even if it appears with them blowing their nose or doing something stupid, looking silly, it's going to turn up in one of the Sunday magazines. And there's going to be a researcher on some TV show flicking through it going, "Oh, look, there's Leslie Joseph looking, oh, that's a wonderful idea. Let's get Leslie Joseph for that show." And it just makes the whole machinery go round and round. So even bad pictures can sometimes help a celebrity.
I guess I was very shy as a kid. So you start showing off a lot to get a bit of attention. Make a lot of noise because you're so shy. And in the end, that's what you want to do because it gives you such a great feeling.
You have to understand that actors are people who depend on people paying attention to them as they're living. And if the people aren't paying attention to them, they feel very, very insecure.
Carol, you haven't won an award. No. You've come to be photographed. Do you love publicity?
I think anyone who comes to an award ceremony is a liar if they say they don't love publicity, because you just don't need to come.
Stars, you know, want to be famous and they want to remain so. You know, I look at Jerry Halliwell and I howl with laughter when she's going out with Chris Evans or Robbie Williams, just as the new album's coming out.
Each time we hear it's his wild love affair, and each time it coincides with the release of her latest single. Now, cynics would say the two are linked, and I'm quite cynical about it. I'd say they are.
But at the end of the day, they achieved what they wanted to do. People were talking about them. They were generating interest.
A tip-off ensured the press were on hand to snap a perfectly made-up Jerry leaving Chris's house in what looked like a nightie.
Jerry Halliwell and Chris Evans' romance, that was a story that I broke. I always get asked about this. I mean, people are very cynical about it because Chris and Jerry have both got the same public relations guy, Matthew Freud. But I've got it on extremely good authority. There's definitely a relationship there. You know, they definitely slept together. The Jerry and Robbie thing, I mean, again, people are very cynical about that. But, you know, knowing Robbie Williams, I mean, it's very rare for him to spend so much time in the company of a woman if he's not getting something in return. So I'm sure bodily fluids have been exchanged.
Hi, this is my new single, Look at Me, and it's all about preconceptions, as cliche as it sounds, how we all take each other on face value.
I have no respect for whatever talent she possesses. I mean, she may be the best singer in the world. I don't know. All I see is a publicity-crazed woman.
Hi, this is my new single, Look at Me. It's about preconceptions, about how we take each other on face value.
The British press dedicated 47,000 words to Jerry's romance with Chris. 6 days after the first article, her then single, Lift Me Up, leapt to #1.
I don't know, perhaps if they were tuning in. Although it's on Top of the Pops tonight at 7:30, exclusive video.
But in the battle for media domination, one band stands column inches above the rest. Outrageous, outspoken, and never out of the papers.
I think when they appeared in the mid-90s, there was a complete void of any sort of rock and roll antics. And in a way, they're sort of up yours behaviour to life in general, and to anybody who disagreed with them was an exciting shot in the arm, which is why, you know, they ruled Britpop for 5 years.
Just last year, the papers carried 760 articles on Oasis. Over the past 5 years, Oasis could have filled The Sun cover to cover 39 times. But how much of the hype is premeditated media manipulation?
I think probably they've always had the attention, but I think they'd be bad boys if they weren't in the music business. They'd be behaving like that anyway.
The recent Q Awards demonstrate Liam's inspired nose for publicity. Oasis won Best Live Act, but Liam dominated the headlines for his attack on fellow star Robbie Williams. He could have left quietly, but he couldn't resist giving the photographers another front-page snap.
Come on! They're quite heavy drinkers, and particularly at that awards, I mean, Liam was drinking triple brandies at about midday, so it was inevitable that it would probably all go off, and it did in spectacular fashion. When I was talking to him about 11 hours later, he'd been drinking constantly, and he was drinking bottles of Grolsch, and he was just throwing them behind his head. When he finished with them, they were just smashing on the floor, hitting people in the head, and he wasn't even looking where they were going.
Can we have a word for that righty end?
The Gallagher brothers are just peasants from Manchester. They're no different to me. You know, I was born in a council estate in Slough. They were basically born in a council estate in Manchester. And their mentality remains, as I hate to use the word working class, but that's their mentality. So therefore, when they come out of their house, if they see you trying to take a picture, they're not a star. They're just a Manchester City fan who'd be quite happy fighting in the strip then on a Saturday night. That's all they are.
Yeah, and he told me to shut my mouth and like carry on. I'm like, which is fine, because I like that.
Who told you to shut your mouth?
Some panhead who wants stabbing with a pickaxe.
That's enough, lads.
On their 1997 world tour, Liam headbutted a young British fan in a bar. More headlines followed, but for rock journalist Paolo Hewitt, who accompanied the band throughout, it was a revealing incident.
This actually is the crux of the tension at the heart of Oasis. You're sitting in a pub having a drink with your bodyguard, and you're minding your own business. The guy comes up and takes a photo of you. He doesn't ask your permission, he just comes up and takes a photo of you. You ask him to stop doing that. He takes another photo. So then you ask him again, he takes another photo. So then, fourth time, you're a bit more aggressive, and he takes another photo. Fifth time, he gets laid out. Now, Liam's point of view is that if he was in a pub, or if you were in a pub, or if I was in a pub, and a guy came up and put a camera in your face and did that 5 times, you'd get annoyed about it. So why shouldn't he react like that? Noel's position is, you're a rock star, you know, you have a certain responsibility, you should not be acting in this manner. And that is the tension at the heart of Oasis.
Spoilt brats or masters of self-promotion?
Hey, just the end. Yeah, we just spoiled. We missed it.
every performer, anybody who's the leader, they're the ones with the domineering personalities, you know, the stubborn little bastards who won't listen to anything you say, you know, they're the ones. As John Lennon said about the Beatles, to get to the top, you got to be a bastard, and the Beatles were the biggest bastards of all.
You're a fucking asshole. You're a fucking asshole.
Coming up, celebrities versus the video Razzie.
Morning. Where's your baby? Where is your baby?
Kill you. You fucking asshole. You've been a bit bad.
And dealing with difficult questions.
I wasn't bad tempered with you at all. I actually said your question was a daft one, which it was.
With its unique control blade independent rear suspension, the Ford Focus gives you ultimate control. And Ford's clear price policy means you can drive one away from just £10,495. From Monday on DVD.
If we win, we'll have what none of us have ever had before. A country of our own.
The man, the legend, Mel Gibson. Braveheart. Own the legend on DVD from Monday.
I know everything.
When the rain will fall.
Where the traffic jams are. What's happening 4,000 miles away. I know where the gigs are.
And what's the latest score?
I'm never alone.
I remember all my friends' birthdays. I email from the beach.
I make my own world and take it with me at all times.
Orange puts a whole range of services in the palm of your hand. Simply register at orange.co.uk.
The future's bright. The future's orange. When you've got a big day ahead, the last thing you need is constipation. All bloated and sluggish. Like a lot of people, I take Senecot. It's made from natural senna. Just one dose at night works in harmony with your body for gentle, predictable relief when you wake.
Ready?
You bet. Go on, enjoy your day.
Senecot, natural relief for a brighter tomorrow.
Good night.
Night.
Seem to have a history.
Good evening.
And missing the point.
Oh, some people.
Very absent-mindedly, I care, but never.
I just love cars. Take this baby. Alloys, aircon, top of the range stereo, fully loaded. Or this. It's got to be worth at least 30k. No good to me though. Out of my range, if you know what I mean. Now this is my sort of car. No alarm, no immobiliser, no steering wheel lock. No problem.
Make your car more secure. Don't give them an easy ride.
Sharp, dynamic, new Protector 3D Diamond with Alpha Diamond sharpened blades. So close and so sharp that it has to be kept behind bars. For our closest and safest wedge shave ever, new Protector 3D Diamond from Wilkinson Sword.
There's a secret problem that haunts 1 in 10 men in Britain. It can have a devastating effect on a man's life. It can be triggered by a physical condition, but in most cases, it's psychological. So if you're laughing now, then you're all right, aren't you? But maybe your best mate needs someone to talk to. Better Sex, Tuesday at 10 on 4.
10 a.m., LA International Airport, and Sharon Stone isn't feeling friendly.
How you doing?
Well, I'm marveling at your rudeness. That's how I'm doing.
That's good.
It's the one place no star can feel at ease. It threatens two specific dangers. There's the real risk that it may bring the celebrity into unwelcome contact with ordinary people, and the further hazard of being photographed unprepared and without permission. The celebrity cornered in an airport is a very dangerous animal.
It is Jody. How you doing, Gerard? Eating popcorn. That's good. Okay.
If they actually have to perform mundane duties with ordinary members of the public, they completely lose it. They find it a terrible indignity, and it's awful to have to remind themselves that this is how they started.
Sharon's mood isn't improving.
I can't see. Knock it off. I said knock it off.
There was that lovely story last year when Diana Ross was at Heathrow Airport, and the female security guard tried to search her, and she was having none of it.
As Diana Ross came through Heathrow's security channel, she set off the metal detector.
Quite rightfully, she was frisked by a security officer, but she didn't like it.
And a big fight started, and she got arrested.
The 55-year-old veteran lost her cool, attacked the female security officer, and was held in police custody for 5 hours.
The police were very good, but they have procedures. It's devastating to be in a police station. I've never been in one before. I was very frightened, and I stayed there from 10 o'clock to 3 o'clock. But I'm not saying that they weren't unkind, but they did their jobs. It was scary. I was scared.
The security checks at airports are not easy sometimes, but you can't just pretend you're a big star and you don't need to go through this sort of thing.
I'm worried about my children. I want to go home.
And apparently now she never flies on commercial flights into this country. She'll always fly to Northolt RAF Northolt, just on the outskirts of London, because she refuses to be frisked like the rest of us.
The best I've ever seen was Charlton Heston, or rather his wife, who I saw arrive after an LA flight that I was on. Perfect flight, no problem at all. They got off, and British Airways had not got somebody ready there to whisk Mrs. Heston to the VIP area immediately, and they were actually having to stand with ordinary human beings for their bags. And I could see her beginning to boil over at this indignity. And, you know, Charlton Heston's a big star, but people weren't bothering him at all. This was no big deal. They just had to behave like normal people. And he was being very charming. And BA was saying, "Oh, sorry, the lounge is not open, and this is how we're going to have to do it." And I could see her simmering, and she just finally exploded into this rage like I've never seen. And it was just a very long version of, "Have you any idea how important I am? I'm Mrs. Charlton Heston. I'm Moses' wife. How can you leave me here with these people?"
I mean, actually, these people, if they walked very quietly through the airport, without minders and sunglasses on, they probably wouldn't even get noticed.
Let go of the bag.
Let go of her. Come on.
Sharon finally departs, feathers somewhat ruffled.
Maybe we caught them without their makeup. I think maybe that's one of the main problems. They hate being caught without their makeup.
At least you have your makeup on today, so that's good.
Isn't that incredible?
No, that's at the airport. The airport guy.
At the airport with no makeup. Today on hard copy, Rosie O'Donnell with no makeup.
But the most spectacular airport assault seemed to come from nowhere.
We knew that Bjork was coming for a concert here in Thailand, and I was the only English-speaking reporter at that time.
Polygram had granted Julie an exclusive interview with Iceland's weirdest export. Then plans changed.
Polygram called us up on the mobile and said, "I'm sorry, she's in a bad mood and doesn't, want to be disturbed." So I was like, "Cool, it's off. I don't want to bother her."
Julie filmed Bjork's arrival, then made one fatal error.
I said, "Welcome to Bangkok." I just said, "Welcome to Bangkok, Bjork." Welcome to Bangkok. I don't know what happened, but I was on my back on the floor, on the ground, and she banged my head. She had my hair like, how women fight. They grab the hair, Welcome to Bangkok. And I was just left like, what just happened? That just didn't just happen, So I guess what triggered her was, welcome to Bangkok, Björk.
Generally speaking, celebrities are pretty contemptuous of the general public. At film premieres, where members of the public stand behind police barriers and stare at the celebrities as they come in and out, members of the public are referred to as looky-loos. Alternatively, they're sometimes referred to as civilians, as if there's something that somehow the celebrities are trying to sort of cover themselves in sort of military glamour. They're not actually civilians. They're, you know, members of the special forces in comparison to the public.
I think it helps if you're quite realistic about how arrogant you are, because you have to be a certain amount of arrogance to get up and sing at people.
Do you think it's important to have a big ego to be a big star?
Yes. Yes.
And
the bigger the ego, the bigger the star.
And do you think you've got a big ego?
Yeah, I like to think so.
I've got as big an ego as I need.
I have the most self-belief. Nobody believes in me more than me.
I think anybody who's familiar with stars know that they can be on-off switches. They can be charming. They can be absolutely the nicest person you could hope to meet. And then, in a moment, they'll cut you dead, as if you don't exist.
If Frank Sinatra didn't get his way, he might pee on the floor. He would just offend people.
I once had the immense pleasure of interviewing that intellectual giant, Jean-Claude Van Damme, about some dodgy old film he made called Time Cop. I must have been interview number 17 in a day of 40 interviews. Those guys don't get out of the chair. I was doing it for some local programme, and I sat down, I had 8 minutes with him, and I said, so Jean-Claude, and he lifted his right leg and just went...
A-list celebrities don't need to mind their manners. They can ensure they get good press by exercising that all-important control.
I interviewed Claudia Schiffer a while back for a British glossy magazine, and rather boldly, at the conclusion of the interview, I said, so Claudia, what are you doing now? It was my lead-in to asking if she wanted to then go out for a drink with me. And she said, well, I'm going back to the office to take my red pencil and put a line through all the stuff I don't like in all the interviews that I've done in the past week. I said, oh, what stuff you've got copy approval over? And she said, yeah, that's right. And I said, do you have copy approval over the piece I'm writing? She said, yeah, you didn't know? And no, I didn't know, in fact. My editor hadn't told me. And I wouldn't have done the interview if I'd have known in advance. But it's absolutely standard now for celebrities of, even for models, to have copy approval, photo approval, headline approval, caption approval, layout approval on all but the absolutely top glossy magazines.
Toby Young refused to have his name on the finished article, which contained references to Claudia's level-headedness, her business brain, and her constant pursuit of perfection.
When people question how much gossip or demands or anything like that they hear from the celebrities is true, what I tell them is, you should question how little you hear, because that's the real tip of the iceberg. If something actually gets out, it's been usually gone through lawyers and processing. You barely hear a tiny bit of what goes on in Hollywood. The best stories in Hollywood never get reported. Believe me.
And it's not just the print media. Celebrities dominate TV interviews too.
Of all the people you've interviewed, who has had the biggest ego?
Had the biggest ego? I honestly don't know, though. I can't answer a daft question like that, really.
I mean, that was the most pissed you've ever been?
I don't know. I don't remember it, do I?
And what's the most rough?
What a ridiculous question. What's the most pissed you on a scale of pissedness?
Are you a vain man?
Am I what?
Vain?
No, absolutely not, no.
Really?
No. You got any better questions than that, or what?
I've been watching you like a hawk the whole time, just hoping you'll ask me an intelligent question.
You know what you should do is look into what you're going to say to people a little bit more.
Sorry, that's it. That's it. You've been a bit bad-tempered with me. Are you ever bad-tempered on your show?
I wasn't bad-tempered with you at all. I actually said your question was a daft one, which it was.
You're great, Rosie.
My singular worst television experience was Roseanne. I was sent out to cover her on her show, and what I didn't realize was she was going to make me do this interview in front of her entire crew, who should have been on a union lunch break, and her cast, who also didn't want to be there. What I also didn't expect was she didn't particularly like the show I was working for. So when I asked my first question in front of the 200 people sitting there, which was a very softball of a question, she looked at me and she said, "What the fuck are you asking me? What the fuck do you think you mean by that? Who the fuck do you think you are?" And that was the high point of the interview.
No, you guys just take everything that I say to be funny as a serious God's honest
Thank God.
Well, you better get a life.
Thank you.
How you doing, Pierce?
But in one area, celebrities remain powerless.
Just filming, bro. You're a big 007, bro. What are you doing in my canyon? No, hey, I just...
Showing stills with video. Paparazzi photographers have always caused problems, but now there's a new, more deadly enemy, the videorazzi. The videorazzi hangs out at airports, restaurants and nightclubs, shooting unofficial, unauthorized footage of celebrities off duty.
Why can't I grab you, man? You gotta keep your hands off me. Why?
If a celebrity looks like it's going to get nasty, most experienced photographers would just back off. But nowadays you've got what's now called the videorazzi and the titsarazzi.
No video.
No video?
No video.
Oh, all right.
I said
Okay.
no video.
Okay, all right.
Can you kill it?
I gotta do my job. I can't
That's
kill
not
it,
a
guys.
job, man.
Come on. Come on, It's you're the only being a job real I've pain in got. the ass. Come on.
Are you still singing with Ian Adams, Jeremy?
In this line of work, there's no ground rules. There's no there's the line, don't cross it. You do anything you want. You go as far as you want. It's up to you.
I've been working celebrity today, and I'm not working now.
How was the film good?
Couple of questions. That tells you a bit about celebrityhood, that we work very hard when we work, and when we don't work, we don't work. We're private people. That's what you have to work out, and that's what you should respect, and you should respect.
Turn that off for my kids here.
Oh, for your kids?
Yeah, you take it off.
I personally feel they do go too far, but I'm in no position whatsoever to criticise.
I can defend myself, and I will.
King of the videorazzis is Vietnam vet E.L. Woody, seen here in the black leather jacket. He's out all night, every night, to record and sometimes inflame moments of celebrity madness.
Very close, Phil.
The night that the attack at the Viper Room happened, well, we got a call from two of the fans who said Tommy and Pam were at a party at Le Pavilion, that we should come down because Tommy was posing with everyone and Pam was posing with everyone. We should just come down and get some pictures.
By the time the photographers arrived, Tommy Lee's mood had turned.
And when he came out the door, the first person he saw was Henry Traffler. Henry was the smallest person there. And Tommy, 6'6", went running right over, grabbed Henry, 5'3", and threw him down in the street, broke his pelvis, 4 different places. Serious fractures of the pelvis. Then he attacked me.
Tommy, come on, get in. Tommy, fuck out of here. Hey, get in. Tommy, get in.
Pam jumped out and said that she had been maced in the face. But if you look closely at the pictures, you'll see she doesn't have one tear, and indeed her eyeballs are perfectly white.
How dare you spray fucking pepper spray?
We didn't spray anything, lady.
I didn't do anything.
No, but your husband attacked a photographer out here.
Well, don't spray pepper spray down my
Well,
fucking
you tell your husband to act like a civilian in public.
You're a fucking asshole. You're a fucking asshole.
You're a drug fiend.
How dare you touch me?
Where's your child this time in the morning? Where's your baby? Where is your baby?
Kill you. You fucking asshole.
What's odd about celebrities punching photographers is they go to these events where they know there are going to be photographers, like the opening of a new restaurant or just simply to a fashionable restaurant, and they go with their latest kind of page 3 lovely, and then they freak out when they're photographed. And it's as though, having achieved fame, they're determined to give the impression that they now no longer want it.
These people don't want to pay the tax of fame, which is having their pictures taken every time they go out in public. Then they should move to New York and become a stage actor. Become the best stage actor in the world. No one will even know who they are. No one will attempt to take their picture. But these people don't want to be great actors. They want to be stars.
What's up?
I get very angry at stars that say to me, "Oh, well, if I had known that it was going to be this invasive, I never would have done it." Well, that's fine the first time you take a $10 million paycheck. But the day you take a second $10 million paycheck, you already know what you're in for, and you suck it up and you live with it.
Comedian John Lovitz, seen earlier groping Jamie Lee Curtis, wasn't so amused when his personal space was invaded.
If you make a deal with the devil, sometimes you're going to get burned.
Tony, can I get Oh, I'm sorry.
What happened?
I'm sorry, I didn't mean that. Can I keep you, Mr. Again?
They know what to expect, and if they don't know what to expect, take your money and leave. But don't come begging back for more work and getting exorbitant paychecks and not expect to pay the price.
No camera, no light, no light.
Okay, good. Don't.
Tell me if my eyes are too red without my glasses.
Coming up, a view from the top,
Oh, no, don't flash it up,
a model wife,
You're my husband. I love you very much. Mwah.
and when fame fades.
Being famous in skin is a nightmare.
Who do you think you are?
Bacardi Breezer. There's Latin spirit in everyone.
It's your colonel coming at you. Hey, now let me show you something special. My new crispy popcorn chicken. Real tender chicken with a crispy coating in handy bite-sized pieces. Hey, how's that for finger-licking chicken you can pop in your mouth? Slam dunk some today. All you gotta do is shoot on down to KFC. Don't forget to check out my new website.
One way to step into a clean shower every morning is to build a new one every day. It's an awful lot of trouble, though. Much simpler is Shower Shine from Mr. Muscle, a revolutionary way of keeping your shower clean. After you've showered, just spray a light mist. You don't have to scrub, rinse or wipe to prevent limescale soap, even watermarks. So you'll want to spend more time in it. Shower Shine from Mr. Muscle. It's like stepping into a new shower every morning.
I won't laugh at you when you boo-boo-boo, 'cause I love you. You get me in a spot, and smile the smile you got when I love you. You make me out a cloud and you put me down, I still love you.
To escape to a different world, just add Royal Caribbean. To swim with the angels, just add moonlight. For a cruise holiday in heaven, just add Royal Caribbean. It's like no holiday on earth.
Travelocity, the world's biggest online travel company.
Who do you think you are?
Tell me if my eyes are too red without my glasses.
Ring anyway and see what she says.
You look lovely. You're a stunner. Oh, no, that's lovely.
So, you're at the top of the tree, an A-list celeb. You have everything your heart desires anywhere you go in the world. But what happens next is never pretty. The slide into celebrity madness.
The Liz Fest, as it came to be known, was a 14-day trip from America to England, where she was principally over here to pick up a damehood from the Queen.
I am so thrilled. I was so taken by surprise. I had no idea in the world.
It quickly became clear Liz thought she was more important than royalty.
First of all, they wanted to check the security arrangements themselves at Buckingham Palace, which of course was turned down. But secondly, they one of their aides asked what would happen if Liz was running a few minutes late. Would the Queen be prepared to wait for her?
But it doesn't surprise me at all. Elizabeth Taylor is the most spoiled woman in Hollywood.
She's been insulated from real life her entire life. But once you are a star, it no longer means you have to do anything to prove that stardom.
Female icons can be demanding. Diane Carroll, Dynasty star and legendary 50s singer, was not an easy person to work for.
She's the celebrity that's sort of, you know, the Diana Ross kind of celebrity, you know, Bob Mackie gowns, lots of glamour, lots of glitz, lots of hair pieces. And I was doing her hair, so I put all the hair pieces, worked, looking in the mirror. She's focused dead in the mirror, but she's looking at me with such intent that I could feel all of the energy sapped out of me. And I started to shake, putting these hair pieces in. And when I finished, after about an hour, she'd look in the mirror and she'd say, "It's not right. You're going to have to take it all out and do it all over again." So I'd have to take it all out and do it all over again. 6 times I did her hair.
I think it gets to you after a while. I think you, you have to have a certain kind of personality and aggressiveness to want to be a star, and a lot of gumption to push yourself into it. And sure, I think that there's certain possibilities that you may have a screw loose at the same time.
What did he give you?
Hell, he gave me this shit right here.
Former Playboy model Anna Nicole Smith always wanted fame. She grew up poor in Texas, but dreamt of emulating her idol Marilyn Monroe. She had her breasts enlarged, her lips enhanced, and made a name for herself as the Guess jeans model. Then, in 1994, she married J. Howard Marshall, an 89-year-old wheelchair-bound billionaire. The shift from model to model wife was never going to be easy.
Hi, how are you? Hi, I'm doing very fine, thank you.
Anna Nicole Smith has got to rate as one of my finest, most probing interviews, I think.
And what about his family? Is there no relationship? I don't care about his family. I could care nothing about his family. Anything I could care nothing less about his family.
She was amazing, actually. I mean, she just came out larger than life, and she really was larger than life then. She'd gone from model proportions to this very big girl. And the poor girl was completely out of her mind, and her lipstick was that sort of classic, all over her face, and I didn't realise quite how small I was that night, but I was sort of nestled in between these two great things with my microphone. I suddenly thought from being in Los Angeles, I sort of went on a journey to the Pyrenees surrounded by them.
I love him, he loves me, and things are going to be very okay.
There were rumours that she'd only married her husband for money. Surely not. And that's why she wanted to tell me so much that she loved her husband.
Is he still ill? Is he still very ill, your husband? He's getting very well. He's getting well, and he's probably watching now, and I love you, my husband. I love you, J. Howard Marshall. I love you. You're my husband. I love you very much. Mwah. I love you. Have a lovely evening. Thanks very much. Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
J. Howard Marshall died shortly after the interview, after 14 months of marriage. His widow slipped further out of control. She was addicted to prescription drugs and close to bankruptcy. The renowned exhibitionist even showed signs of shyness. But Anna Nicole never stopped fighting for her share of her husband's fortune.
Good luck to her. She's a smart girl. She took on a big court case, and she's come out the winner, really, so who's the fool?
In September 2000, a federal judge awarded Anna Nicole $450 million, a fortune which guarantees her lifetime membership of Club Celebrity. But she's one of the favoured few. Over the past 50 years, the nature of celebrity has dramatically changed.
I do follow through, 'cause my heart belongs to Daddy.
What do you want if you don't want money? What do you want if you don't want gold?
Singer Adam Faith had his first #1 hit in 1959.
Did my love, baby?
When I was a kid, nobody was hardly famous. It was just a few middle-class performers that were famous. Now, every single person in the world has got the potential to be famous for a moment because there's so much media on it.
Matt and Luke Goss of Bros had their first #1 hit in 1988.
I signed my first record deal by the time I was 17 years old. And then 12 hits later, there's just a kind of like a barrage of history there. It happened like in 5 years from start to finish.
There's more power in being a star now. You know, people have used stardom now as a weapon. We sort of used it like a toy. We played with it. There's no playing with fame anymore. It's malice aforethought to be famous now, isn't it?
There was a funny piece in The Sun about Nicola and Caroline from Big Brother kind of behaving appallingly at the TV Quick Awards. One of these so-called celebrities present was complaining that how dare Caroline and Nicola behave so badly because they weren't even proper celebrities. You know, it would have been okay if it had been Mel Gibson and kind of, you know, Tom Cruise mud wrestling on the floor. But the guy who was complaining about this was some kind of minor, you know, member of the cast of Hollyoaks. You know, he presumably was a proper celebrity, unlike Caroline and Nicola. You know, that does seem like celebrity gone slightly too far.
It's difficult to put a figure on the celebrity explosion. In this country, there are only 500 A-list celebrities, but a further 12,000 micro-celebs, known as photo fodder, that magazines like Hello are prepared to feature. A modern celebrity must be famous or topical, or some combination of both.
I used an analogy that, for me, that makes it very clear. You have fame that is like long life milk with 10 times the preservatives it should have in it, so it lasts for years. You can drink that stuff 20 years from now. Success is fresh fruit. It perishes every day. You have to keep stocking up the fridge with fresh fruit because it perishes.
It's success that makes you bankable.
Fame can be a pain in the ass. It's only good if it's backed up with success. Being famous and skint is a nightmare.
And it's surprising how often stars find themselves financially stranded.
Won't you stay another day?
Bands like E17, you know, in their prime, they were taking limos everywhere, and they didn't realise that eventually they'd have to pay for it all. And, you know, then they all ended up skint because they suddenly received all these bills for, you know, 10 grand limo charges for 1 week.
Don't you know we've come too far?
Without success, the star has no power, and suddenly they're vulnerable.
Andrew Ridgeley, for example, when Wham split up, became completely insufferable. I mean, now he's a really nice guy, but at the time he was just completely out of control, and he was partying every night, treating photographers appallingly, always appallingly. And it was one memorable night. I remember watching it when Ridgeley was due to come out of Stringfellows with a girl on each arm. Would have been a hot picture. He was a big thing at the time. And there were about 6 photographers, and they all just said, "Do you know something? We've had enough of this guy. When he comes out, we're just going to all put our cameras on the floor and turn our backs." And I thought, this is going to be great. So Ridgeley comes out, girl on each arm, drink in each hand, waiting for the flash bulbs to go. He's got his limousine waiting, the whole thing. And all these guys just put their cameras on the floor and turn around and just showed their backs to him. And he just stood there. He didn't know what to do. Suddenly, his oxygen supply had been cut off. And of course, in that moment, you knew that Andrew Ridgeley needed them a lot more than they needed him.
I think the slide is absolutely appalling. It's like a withdrawal from heroin. You know, fame is an absolute addiction. People will kill for it. They'll die for it.
If you work in any form of showbiz, you come with a sell-by date stamped on your ass. You can't see it because it's on your ass, but it's there.
And you will get into, as the cliche goes, your 15 minutes, maybe your 15 weeks, maybe your 15 years, but there will come a time when you're yesterday's man or woman, because there are always people who are younger, funnier and cheaper knocking about.
The best way to learn about a country is to meet the people. So I'm very much looking forward to meeting the Argentinian people. Hello? Hello? Phone's gone off.
People like Gary Barlow from Take That, how he was at the pinnacle of his career. He was giving me and my colleagues, framed pictures of himself signed, and then about 6 months, a year later, he's begging for publicity in the paper, and it's a bit of a sad case, really.
So here is Gary. Okay.
Was it something I said? Was it something I said?
The minute I knew I wasn't making hit records, I got out, because the torment and the torture and the tyranny of making a record and sitting there praying and hoping it's going to be a success, I couldn't take it. I couldn't take it.
I like celebrity, and I've never let it control me, so that my inner circle of friends aren't in show business, and so I can leave the job. A lot of people perhaps live it too much.
I've always been frightened of celebrity and fame, because of how stupid it is that you can lose it like that, and then if you rely on it, your life's gone.
And don't expect sympathy on the way down.
There's nothing more satisfying than giving a celebrity who's treated you really badly a complete and utter kicking as they go down. And anyone who thinks that we don't feel that way doesn't understand how the press works. And I don't mean that in a nasty way. I just mean you have to see how some of these people treat us to understand how disgusting they are.
We should feel some sympathy for the ones who are really out of control, but we should also remember just how charmed their lives are compared with everybody else's.
Celebrities are much overrated business.
We'll see.
I just do what I do. Probably the reason why it's been such a good run for a very long time is that basically I'd rather be fishing anyway.
Fame is overrated, believe me, it really is. It really is. Normal life is more important.
Really? Would you swap it all tomorrow?
No. No, on that note, no.
There's clearly a parallel between the way aristocrats used to behave in 18th century France and the way celebrities behave today. And they've got this extraordinary droit de seigneur, and they treat almost everyone who isn't a celebrity or a celebrity of their equivalent standing as a member of staff. Everyone is there to accommodate their needs, to indulge their whims. And they treat everyone in this incredibly arrogant, high-handed way. And it's impossible to dismiss the possibility that there'll be some kind of revolution, like the French Revolution, and that, guillotines will be erected on the street, and celebrities, marching down the street in their fur coats with their little dogs and their huge entourage will just be picked up and shoved into these guillotines and have their heads lopped off.
Terribly, we've come to look at fame as being so important as a society. Because it's not really, it's all a lot of bollocks.
Ricky, do you think stars are overindulged?
Yes, of course they are. Of course they are, but I love it.
Have you ever behaved badly?
I think I'd like to.
Did you ever trash a hotel room? No, I never did. I used to, while people were trashing hotel rooms, I was hoovering mine.
Oh yes, I had my teenage years actually, which I never had, in my 30s. That was to do with fame.
It's better to do what I did, which was start badly and then end up a bit better.
Have you ever had a celebrity tantrum, ever?
Always.
Occasionally I say I want to fuck a goat up the arse. I say, give me some raw beef, I want to split it in half, you know what I mean? That's what fame does to you. And then you think, yeah, give me a Christmas tree, give me a bauble, let me kiss it. God bless America.
We're this way,
and we're fucking this way.
You're going the wrong way.
Yeah.
Hi, so where are you from?
For many teenagers, their first love was someone they'd never actually met. They adorned bedroom walls the world over. They strutted, preened, and thrusted their way into the dreams of millions. The Top 10 Teen Idols, next Saturday at 9:05 on 4.
A tribute to Robbie Williams lookalike next on 4. Heartbreaker, Hellraiser and Gladiator to the End. The real Oliver Reed.